Okay. Hi, my name is Lavinia Osborne of Butterfly Wealth Creation, a holistic financial education and empowerment organization helping you to create, to preserve, and to prosper. Today, I'm here with the wonderful and empowering and inspiring Sharon Letcher. Sharon Letcher is the co-founder of Put Your Family First, and she's also well known within the financial community as the co-author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad, the number one best-selling personal finance book in the New York Times list. I met Sharon. I had the pleasure of meeting Sharon at a conference earlier part of this year. Please see the picture of myself and her below. And Sharon has kindly given her time to have an interview with myself and to help promote the importance of female entrepreneurship. And this is the key essence of the feminine flame. So just a short introduction about the feminine flame. I am the co-founder of The Feminine Flame with a number of other entrepreneurial and inspirational ladies around the world. We created the feminine flame in order to ignite the fire and the inspirational fire of many women around the world who want to start their own business, but maybe just don't have the confidence to, or maybe they don't have the resources to. There are many women out there who are doing well in their businesses. And, I think it's important for us all to come together, especially because we're going through this feminine shift, this female shift, or the shift that is already occurring, and many individuals around the world are calling it the feminine shift. It's all about collaboration rather than competition. And the feminine flame is a social enterprise, and what we want to do, the essence of the feminine flame, is to ignite the flame amongst women around the world and help them to recognize that they too can become the infinitely wealthy women we are all born to be and create their own business and succeed in life in a holistic and happy and healthy way. So once again, I'm going to invite Sharon Letcher onto the call, and I thank you for your time in watching this interview. Sharon. Hi, Sharon.
Hello, how are you today, Lavinia? Wonderful to be with you.
Thank you very much. I'm wonderful. Really pleased to have you on the call, and again I thank you for your time because I know that you're very busy. So, without further ado, my first question to you is, obviously I've touched upon the fact that you are the co-author of the fabulous and number one personal finance best-selling book in the world, Rich Dad Poor Dad. But give us a little bit more of your background about how and why you became the entrepreneur that you are, the female entrepreneur that you are, and what led you to become so passionate about women and business.
Well, I actually grew up in a very entrepreneurial home, and at the time, my parents' goal was that my sister and I would graduate from college and get great, safe, secure jobs, and so that's exactly the path we followed. Graduated from college, my degree was in accounting, and I went to work with Coopers and Lybrand at the time, with big 8 accounting firms, and started my career fast track up through the ranks of Coopers and Lybrand, and yet I kept saying, why am I working so hard for somebody else?
Mhm.
Because that entrepreneurial mindset was ingrained in how I grew up. My dad retired Navy, went to work for Martin Marietta. So even though he was an employee on the side, he always had real estate. He had a car business, car lots, and my mother had her own beauty shop. So I lived in a multifaceted, multitasking family full of entrepreneurs.
Mm.
So at the ripe old age of 26, the entrepreneurial bug bit me, and I said, if I'm going to work this hard, I need to work for myself. And I had a client who had invested in the company, and I went there. It was a colossal business mistake, probably the worst business mistake of my career. But out of every adversity comes the seed of an equal or greater benefit, a quote by Napoleon Hill himself.
Indeed.
And that experience is how I met my husband, and we're now celebrating 32 years of marriage.
Congratulations.
But that started me on my journey. I've started a women's magazine. I helped the children's talking books that have the sound strips on the side. I started that industry with the inventor, and we grew that to a multi-million-dollar industry, now a billion-dollar industry. And then we relocated to Arizona back in 1991. And our oldest son at the time was just graduated from high school in 92. He went off to college. So he left to go to college in September. He came home in December and he said, Mom, I need your help. I'm $2,500 in credit card debt. And so I was devastated. I was so upset with him, but I was more upset with me because I, of course, felt that I had taught him about money. I taught him what I knew. But of course, there were not credit cards when I went to college. And so all of my entrepreneurial skills up until that point in time came together. My background as a CPA, my background in publishing, and my passion as a parent to create an improvement in our financial literacy and to be able to help people learn about money. And so that's kind of full circle. That was in 1992. You fast forward, I started the Rich Dad Company, and now I work with the Napoleon Hill Foundation. So my passion, I'm still very entrepreneurial. I have many, many different businesses, including real estate, including intellectual property, and then, of course, the financial education. But I think entrepreneurship is what got us out of the Great Depression back in the 30s and 40s. And it's entrepreneurship that's going to bring us back to the top today. And there's no better entrepreneur than a woman because entrepreneurs are natural collaborators if they bring the right team around them. Yes. So yes, I applaud you for highlighting the need for women entrepreneurs.
Excellent. I mean, do you feel that there is more women becoming entrepreneurial? Do you feel that there is a shift? And when I talk about that shift, I'm talking about, for example, the Olympics. Right now we have the Olympics, and it's the first time ever that all of the teams have a female representing the country. I mean, that alone is just, deserves a round of applause, We also have the first woman sitting on the, I think it's a Google board, the Google Inc. We also have part of the African Union. Maybe you've heard of, well, obviously you've heard of the United Nations. So the African Union has just embraced or just brought on a female chair. So she's the first female. So there seems to be a lot of first. After emancipation and everything else, 50, 60 or 100 years later, I don't know the exact date, but, so many years later, we're still having first of women doing something, So do you feel there is an actual, feminine shift occurring at the moment?
Oh, certainly. I think some of the stats here in America, we now have more women graduating from college than men. So that's a huge shift. And then we also have 2 out of every 3 new businesses are started by women. And so there is a huge shift in entrepreneurship for women. The barrier to entry has gone away. There is no glass ceiling for women in entrepreneurship. So even those women who have started off in careers and get frustrated with their pathway up have the opportunity to start and take control of their own lives. And so I think entrepreneurship is a huge opportunity for women to find their own financial independence.
Excellent. And just for those who are listening, a CPA is an accountant. That's the term that they use in America. We don't use the same term here in the UK, and I don't believe in Europe. So just for clarification, CPA is an accountant. Okay, fantastic. So on to the next question. So what's the best way? What would you advise is the best way to get started, especially if you have limited resources? And I ask that in the context, in the sense that, as you just touched upon, the boundaries of entry to become an entrepreneur has shifted, is not so limited. And when we was at the when I heard you speaking at the event earlier this year, you talked about how there are 3 areas where people can go into business, and it was something to do with property, paper, and then you said there was a new area which was IP, intellectual property. Can you explain?
Absolutely. Well, I think when you're looking at starting in business today, as I said, there's a lower entry barrier to entry, because with the internet it doesn't cost as much to try and advertise or to try and bring in people and tell them. But I think more importantly is the fact that the most successful businesses do one of two things: they solve a problem or serve a need.
Mm-hmm.
And certainly we have enough problems and enough needs today that there's lots of entrepreneurial opportunity around us each and every day.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you're looking at the three basic categories are asset, from a standpoint of asset classes, are real estate, paper, and businesses.
Mm-hmm.
And part of that is also intangible assets or intellectual property is the new category, which means what you think about. That you can create value in your life by writing a book,
Mm-hmm.
or by having an idea that you protect. And so that's, the greatest. There's a huge shift in when you look at the Fortune 1000 companies, from bricks and mortar companies to now so many more are intellectual property companies. So their valuation is based on the processes and the ideas that they brought together as opposed to physical products that they make. So there's a big shift. So each and every one of us, we have the capability of having good ideas,
Mm-hmm.
and protecting that and creating a business around it.
Okay.
And so it's really important for women to think about how you can solve a problem or serve a need in your community, and start looking, well, how can I make a business around that?
Yeah, I agree. Okay. And so, you're absolutely right in regards to the internet. The internet just gives so many ways of connecting. Because obviously, some women out there may say, but I don't have the resource, i.e., I don't have the finances. Do you think that's just limiting beliefs, limiting thoughts? And what would you advise to a female out there thinking that way, who's never really handled money, doesn't really understand, not even understand money, but just doesn't really have a good relationship with money? Maybe their husband or has always looked after the finances. So for them, it's the idea of finding finance and starting a business. It's just really overwhelming for them. What would you advise to those sort of ladies?
There's a huge myth that it takes money to make money. And certainly it's easier when you have plenty of resources. But it really isn't that complicated. In the book 3 Feet from Gold, which was my book, the book that I released at the end of 2009, which was my first book with the Napoleon Hill Foundation, we talked to many of today's great leaders. We talked to them not just about their success stories, but about those deep, dark moments when they needed financing, or when other people would have quit and they persevered. And out of talking to them, we came up with a personal success equation, which really is important for anybody starting on an entrepreneurial adventure to really consider how you can apply it to your own life. And that personal success equation is taking your passion. Mm-hmm. And now in my case, passion came from something that made me angry. Most of us have heard, do what you love what you do. But passion can come from both directions. Mm-hmm. So taking your passion and combining it with your talent. Now, for me, it was my background in publishing, my background in accounting that I was able to combine in my endeavor for financial literacy. But think about your own passions and your own talents. But people usually stop there. Yeah. And because they feel like they have to take the weight of the business all on their own back. Mm-hmm. But truly, how these successful people became successful was through the power of association. Yes. And so it's so important, particularly for women starting a business, that they tend to feel insulated in their own homes, and they don't reach out. This is the number one thing to do. Reach out and find other women that are going to support you. Mm-hmm. Get a network of people who want you to be successful. Mm-hmm. And that synergy will help propel you to success. Mm-hmm. So the equation is passion plus talent, finding the right association, and there's another A, which is taking action. Yes, indeed. So many times people sit back and they expect build it and they will come. Yeah. No, you have to actually take consistent and compelling action. Mm-hmm. And we really thought that was the equation, and we almost went to press. But then we realized there truly was something that set these people that we interviewed apart. And it was the fact that in addition to that formula, passion plus talent times association taking action, they had an overriding faith in themselves. They have an overriding faith in what they were doing would be successful. And that faith is what helped propel them through. So if you have an idea and a concept and you don't have a lot of money, think about that success equation and say, how can I find the money?
Yes.
Can it come from my passion or my talent? Maybe not. The money can come through associations. Start looking for people that are in that business or people that want to make you successful. Start sharing your idea, and you may be able to find the money right there. Otherwise, take action. There's so many microfinance opportunities available to women today.
Yes, indeed.
Take the action, start researching, and have faith in yourself, and don't stop. Never quit, because you will find the money.
That is wonderful. That is great advice, and I truly believe that, you just keep moving in spite of, because like you said, it's about the passion. And as you said, passion can come from something that you love or something that really makes you angry. And, as touched upon, the feminine flame is about fellow female entrepreneurs helping other females who want to become entrepreneurial. So this is a great platform for established female entrepreneurs to, really give something back and help other women if that's what they're passionate about, and for those women looking for assistance and help to connect with us so that we can, match and create and collaborate,
Absolutely. The future of business is not win-lose. It's not competitive. It's collaboration and cooperation. And women are natural collaborators and natural cooperation strategy based. And so the future of business is really better suited for women than it is for men.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. And I truly believe that. Of course. Okay, so what are some of the common problems women experience when starting their entrepreneurial journey? For your own experience of working with women, what have been their most common problems, and what solutions would you give to those problems?
Well, the most important one, and I think the biggest issue that arises when you start something new, is focus. You get really excited about something and you dive into it, and then all of a sudden you have family issues or friends, and you start losing focus on creating your business. Starting a business is not easy. It takes sustained, dedicated effort. And it's very important that you you make a commitment to your business, and you make a commitment not only of your own resources, but of your time. And making sure that every single day you're doing something to propel your business forward. Because women in particularly, they get sidetracked. They've got charity events, or they've got their children have school activities, and I believe that you need to be there for your kids. Absolutely, it's a high priority. The name of my company, Pay Your Family First. It's all about making sure family does come first. But the issue is, if you want to start a business, you need to make a very deliberate and considered promise to yourself that you will dedicate time every day to keep that business moving forward.
Excellent, great advice. And I think, we always do talk about action, because of course you need to take action, but sometimes I think a lot of people do forget that other important word, focus, which you touched upon. So great advice.
Well, and along with that, it's also important to understand that women tend to want to do it all themselves. So we aren't necessarily natural delegators. And so it's very important that you start saying, okay, making sure that every thing you are paying attention to is stuff that you need to do. Many people have their to-do lists, but I tell people, put your to-do list aside and then do a stop doing list. What is it that you can stop doing that will free up time for you to do more on your to-do list? Maybe somebody else can bring in dinner. Maybe somebody else can do your laundry or clean your house. Think about what it is about your life that you're doing is busyness, not business.
No, that's very good advice. Never thought of that. Do a not to do list. And just for those out of you may be thinking, oh, I could never get a cleaner, but hey, you can always exchange skills. So maybe there's someone, you have a skill that you can help someone with, and in return they can do something for you, which will then free up your time to do what you're good at, and how, bring in more funds to advance your business and to also advance you on a personal level. Because wouldn't you agree, Sharon, that when you start a business, it's not just about business development, but it's also personal development, because you learn so much about yourself.
Well, I think the success of any entrepreneurial endeavor starts with the founder and the entrepreneur. And when you focus on yourself first and take care of yourself physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, then you can be a stronger leader. You can be a stronger business person, and you can inspire those around you. But if you are working yourself silly and you've got your team coming in and you're barely able to keep your eyes open, you fail a little bit at the leadership side. So it's very important. And I have to tell myself this all the time. So I'm looking in the mirror as I'm saying this to you. But we need to make sure that we stay on the top of our game so that we can keep our business on the front of its game.
Yeah, excellent advice once again. Okay, so if you had one secret to give, Sharon, about becoming a female-preneur rather than female entrepreneur, female-preneur, what would it be? What would be your one secret?
It's who you surround yourself with, controlling your environment. Success is going to come when you are feeling loved and supported in creating that success. If you surround yourself with people that are afraid because they see you changing and they're not, and it may be your own family, when you surround yourself with an environment of negativity, your chances of success falter. When you surround yourself with other women entrepreneurs, create a mastermind group where you hold each other accountable. And so you're working, because being an entrepreneur can be very lonely. And so because you're the top, and so you don't have a peer. So create that peer-to-peer network by having a mastermind. Again, started and originated by Napoleon Hill himself. But create a mastermind of other female entrepreneurs, just like what you're doing online with your the feminine flame. Is creating that nurturing environment of collaboration, cooperation. And the women may not be in your same line of work, but yet they're going to face the same problems you do. And so when a problem comes up, that network they're going to have solutions for you.
Excellent. Yeah, and it is so important to surround yourself, with like-minded individuals. And there's so many, local female entrepreneur orientated groups. Like for example, I used to be the leader of one called Ladies Who Latte, and in my local area that was in Crystal Palace. Crystal Palace is in South East London, and there's many Ladies Who Latte around the country, and there's the Athena group, and there's different female entrepreneurial groups which you ladies, and I'm speaking about London, but I know for sure around the world, particularly of course in America, there are many. So seek and you shall find. And there's a great website you can go to if you are looking for a female entrepreneurial group to surround yourself with and be empowered by, and it's called meetup.com. So that's one resource. But then if you engage with the feminine flame, there'll be other sites and information and resources shared with you in order for you to create that environment for yourself, that positive environment. Thank you, Sharon, for that great piece of advice. Okay, so the last question is, what are the top 3 things that someone should know in order to be successful in entrepreneurship?
Many of them we've already discussed. The top 3 things would be to identify your business, identify what problem are you solving or what need are you serving. It is absolutely imperative, because a sustainable business must solve a problem or serve a need. You can have a flash in the pan and have great success, but if you want a sustainable business, you want to know what is the benefit you are providing to the world around you. The second thing is ask yourself, when in the sales cycle of your business. It used to be, as I said, it was a very competitive environment, but today, I ask yourself, are you selling or are you serving?
Mm.
Because when you sell, it's a transaction, it's a one-time occurrence.
Yeah.
When you serve, you're creating a relationship. Transaction versus relationship, sales versus service. And when you serve and you have that relationship, that's an ongoing opportunity for sales.
Yeah.
And the sales will come
Yeah.
if you put service first.
Yeah.
So that's really this, if we talk about understanding what your business is solving, understanding that you want to serve, not sell.
Mm-hmm.
And each and every day, understand the number 3 is success begets success. We've all heard that. But at the same time, money brings out more of who people truly are.
Mm-hmm.
So understand that as success comes, you'll need to also have to think about, what do I want to become as a successful entrepreneur? Am I going to be of service? Am I going to give money back to my community?
Mm-hmm.
Or am I going to let this go to my ego?
Mm-hmm.
And as people who often let it go to their ego, their business falters, because then it isn't about the problem you're serving. It's all about you being able to spend the money you're getting.
Yeah.
And so, again, it all comes back to the entrepreneur. What problem are you solving? Are you serving?
Mm-hmm.
And how are you going to demonstrate your success? Will you demonstrate that success through adding value to the world or through your own ego?
I just love that. When I just felt chills go up my spine when you said about, are you serving or are you selling? And I think for many women, especially women that I know, so I'm talking from my own experience, selling is something very scary for them, but serving is something very easy for them. So I think that's a wonderful, wonderful phrase. And yeah, and and there's nothing wrong with selling, but it's got to be, I think it's all about selling from spirit, from good, rather than, like you just touched upon, from the ego. So that wonderful, wonderful. Thank you so much, Sharon. Okay, finally, so that was the last question, but is there anything that you would like to just add? Maybe I haven't asked you, and you just feel in your spirit to just share with the listeners and the watchers who are watching and listening to this. Is there anything else that you would like to add?
Well, I think it's so important that we talk about fear. What holds a lot of people back from starting their own business is fear of failure, and sometimes even fear of success. And so and this is going to sound like a promo, but my most recent book is called Outwinning the Devil, and it was originally written by Napoleon Hill himself, and then he had intended it to be equal to Think and Grow Rich. Think and Grow Rich was released in 1937. And he wrote this one in 1938, and it was hidden away for 75 years because his wife was afraid it was too controversial. And we just released it last year because it talks about those self-limiting beliefs, how we allow fear to cripple us from achieving the success we so deserve. And even though it was written 75 years ago, it is so relevant and absolutely on target with what's happening in the world today.
Yeah.
It talks about, are we living our life in fear, or are we living our life in faith? And it helps you identify where maybe some of that fear came from as a child. It talks about your religious faith. It talks about education, the need for experiential education, which is what my company is all about. But the book is very personal. It helps you identify the things in your own spirit that may be holding you back. And what I absolutely love about it is that your generation, Gen Y, the younger generation, love it because it's a little in your face, it's a little irreverent, and they love it because it speaks to them. And my goal is to bring the teachings and the philosophies of Napoleon Hill back out to the forefront in the world that we have today. And I think this book's going to help us do that.
Thank you so much for mentioning that, because I was actually going to mention it, just to round off the call. I mean, that is where I met Sharon. She was speaking at an event here in London back in June, I believe it was, and she was promoting that same said book, Outwitting the Devil. And I am a big fan of Napoleon Hill. I've read his book, or should I say, I've listened via the audios of his book, Think and Grow Rich. And she also co-authored the best-selling book Think and Grow Rich, 3 Feet from Gold. And so I really recommend that you find out more about Napoleon Hill, read his book, Think and Grow Rich, or listen to it if you don't like reading, as well as, of course, Outwitting the Devil and Think and Grow Rich, 3 Feet from Gold. If you're not learning, you're not progressing. And where I'm concerned, as entrepreneurs, for us to be able to teach and to serve, we need to continue our lessons. And one of the best ways of doing that is learning from people who have walked their talk, walked the path, walked their talk, such as Sharon, and also learning from others who have gone before us. Reading and listening. It's an ongoing journey, and that's why I talk about create, preserve, and prosper. Because in order to prosper, you need to keep growing and learning. Would you agree?
Absolutely. Never stop.
Excellent, excellent. Okay, thank you so much for taking the time out to again to have this interview with me, to encourage and endorse the feminine flame in the sense of what we're about, the aim and the objectives, helping other women to connect with their entrepreneurial flame and basically ignite, collaborate, create, and serve ultimately, make the world a better place.
And,
Sorry, please go ahead.
and commit to work on yourself and your own personal future. I have a rule that I call 222.
Mm-hmm.
Every day before I go to bed, I reach out and I make 2 phone calls. I reach out with 2 emails and 2 handwritten letters that will help propel my business forward. So it's all about keeping focus on the future and developing a business that serves and adds value to the world.
Excellent. Thank you so much. And on that note, I say thank you to those of you who are listening and watching this. So good evening, Sharon. And once again, thank you for your time and your advice.
Well, I'm very, very thrilled to be with you, and I invite anybody to come visit me at sharonlecter.com. Mm-hmm. We have some free information available there, 30 ways to reduce your expenses, 30 ways to start talking to your children about money. So please come visit, and I will look forward to hearing from everyone.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. To the feminine flame.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's just end that now.